I bet you've heard about the TV show SpongeBob SquarePants. You know about the show about a talking sponge, SpongeBob, who goes on adventures with his dumb starfish friend named Patrick, and the always unlucky Squidward. There's Mr. Krabs, the money grabber, and the scientist karate master or squirrel named Sandy. Everyone knows about the show of how popular it is, but they don't know the truth behind it. SpongeBob and his friends are actually ghosts of humans that forcefully had to take over the bodies of sea creatures to survive. All of them have visions of buildings and structures from their previous lives. I will now explain the backstory of the 5 main characters I have talked about earlier. SpongeBob was an ordinary kid named Bob. Bob was a nice kid and always loved helping others and always tried to stay out of trouble. But often did he get in trouble, was taking the rap for what the other kids did, and often accidentally tripping someone while trying to help them. One day in 1920, while riding his bike, he accidentally went down a steep hill and fell off, putting him in a coma. After 2 weeks, he eventually died and had a proper funeral. In his sea creature counterpart, he is still very nice and still gets in trouble. Patrick in his past life was named John. John was a couple years younger than SpongeBob, and they were actually very close friends. They lived in the same neighborhood and often played together. In 1918, he was then hit in the head very hard, giving him brain damage and have an occasional inability to think. Then for his last 5 years, he's always getting into extreme trouble, often hurting people, was friendless to anyone except for Bob. Then around 1923, he was having a moment with stupidity and climbed onto the roof and tripped over and fell off the roof, cracking his head and eventually killing him. In his sea creature counterpart, he still acts dumb and is only friends with SpongeBob. Squidward's human name was Dan. Dan was a sore thumb ever to play with other kids. He was always lonely with no friends except for his clarinet and his teddy bear Zippy. Dan had a severe heart condition that would eventually lead him to his end. His heart was so weak that if anything surprising happened, if he got startled, he would have had a heart attack. One night in 1930, he had a dream where Zippy was murdering him, which scared him so much that he woke up and had a severe heart attack, which killed him. In his sea creature counterpart, he still gets scared often and is only friends with his clarinet. Jim was the name of Mr. Krabs' human counterpart. Jim was a wealthy family despite his family fortune. He was a money grabber and a pickpocket, often taking people's money and running off with it. He was always behind with the rest of the family, having a mild mental condition. He was also very loved piggy banks and cash registers and owned a pet whale and a large fish tank. It's because of the issues and oddities he was laughed at by his whole family. His family had a big vault where they stashed all of the money, and then one day in 1953, where Jim was inside it by jumping for joy because his family, gaining $1 billion and 3 huge bags of money, toppled over from a high shelf in the vault and crushed him to death. His sea creature counterpart, he still hogs money and has a whale daughter named Pearl, despite it being his whale pet. Sandy's human counterpart name was Sally. Sally was a teacher's pet and she was always winning the science fairs and often got all A's. Due to her high intelligence, the kids would come to her at recess, ask her to fix their math problems. Sally was a black belt karate and often beating all of her students. She would, of course, make custom fireworks at the country club, which gained major popularity. Sally was on top of the world. In Karate Day one day in 1969, Sally was fighting a master, and she was doing well until she got kicked extremely hard in the chest, breaking her ribs and making her unable to breathe. This eventually killed her, and even though that she isn't a sea creature, her squirrel form was still able to be built under her tree dome and be karate scientist master. There are often sea creatures that contain the souls of undead children that they yearn to see their families again, and for the long previous lives, maybe one day, when their fish form dies, these mournful souls will take over the new baby of their previous mother. If they cannot, however, they will be trapped in a fish body forever, roaming alone across the 7 seas. And that, my little pretties, was the truth behind SpongeBob SquarePants. A SpongeBob SquarePants, I guess you could say, what was it? Oh yeah, a SpongeBob SquarePants, Fury Pasta. My final thoughts on this story? I could definitely say that this one is actually a pretty good Fury pasta. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually a very good, well-made Fury pasta. Like, the first time I heard about this narration was, the narration of this story was on, Creekspit Pasta's channel. I do know a few people who have also narrated it, such as Andal, Dave the Useless, and I think a few other people have, narrated this story. And to be honest, this is actually a pretty good story. I'm not gonna lie. It's a really well-made story, and I have to say this is actually quite believable. Like, the way of, how SpongeBob and his friends are portrayed, this actually is very well made, and it's a pretty good creepypasta, or Fury pasta, whatever you prefer to call it. Now, I definitely would have to say this actually provided a pretty good detail, and I really do like how it's, believable, to say the least. Like, this was actually very believable. Like, I really like how this one, is believable and really well made for what the concept really is. Now, I do really think that this story I think this one was from a wiki or something, because I found it on Wattpad. If this was deleted from, like, a creepypasta wiki or something, I don't know why they would remove it, because it's actually a pretty good Fury pasta. Like, I don't get it why anyone would, remove it from the creepypasta wiki, because it's just really good. It's downright amazing. Like, I really do like how this story went out. It's a very well-made story, really amazing and well done. Like, I could honestly picture this as to be a very believable story. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's a very good believable story. Like, I could honestly see this being the case of, why SpongeBob, and Patrick and a bunch of other characters are the way they are. This is actually a very good possible Fury. Now, this is actually one of the best SpongeBob Fury pastas I've seen. I believe there was other ones out there, but I'm not really sure or about any more. But this is actually a pretty good story. And I really have to say that this story actually portrayed pretty good details for what this story is. I really do find that the whole concept was enjoyable. I really found it to be amazing. I really like how the storyline of it went out, and the grammar of the story was really good. Now, I'm not sure who the original author of this story is. This is pretty much an archived version. Like, this is on Wattpad I'm reading. It's like an archived, story. Not really sure if, who the original author is, so, yeah. And I'm gonna leave this as anonymous for now. If I do find out who the original author is of this Fury pasta, I'll be sure to give him or her proper credit. But I definitely have to say, it was a really interesting story. I really do find it to be amazing. Now, I definitely would have to say, that this is pretty possible, why, characters are the way they are. SpongeBob gets in trouble sometimes. Patrick's always dumb. Squidward's always by himself. We also have Mr. Krabs, who is, a greedy, little sack of garbage for money. And, his whale pet, or his adoptive daughter, Pearl. But there's also another thing I can definitely, say that this one actually provided pretty good, detail, was the fact that, well, you're definitely seeing that, Sandy, is a karate chop, which, if you watch SpongeBob, you probably may know that these are all very possible. Like, it's all very possible, to be completely honest. It's a very possible Fury. Now, I definitely would have to say it's a pretty good story for what this is. I really do find this one to be, well, enjoyable, well made in detail. I really have to say that this one is amazing, well-made story. I really do find this one to be fun. It's a pretty good pasta, and I really recommend you guys take a look at it. So, I guess I'm gonna sit there and say this, just to wrap things up, because there's not really much I have to say. I definitely have to say, it's still a pretty good story. I like, this SpongeBob creepypasta. It's a very well-made pasta. It was amazing. There's definitely a lot of time and effort into it. But as for now, when it comes to, who the original author is, I'm just gonna leave it as anonymous unless, I find out who the original author is. So, yeah. Anyways, with that being the case, that being said, I'm going to sit there and, say this right now. And like I'm always going to continue to say, this is simply my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas. And this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be I guess I'm going to say 10 out of 10. Pretty good Fury pasta. It was very believable. Definitely a pretty good SpongeBob one. I definitely have to say it's very believable, really well made, and I definitely have to say that this story actually proves pretty good theories as to, who the SpongeBob characters really were at the time. Pretty interesting. And I really found these theories to be quite interesting. So anyways, with that being the case, that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally helped make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload so then you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.